Let's do a couple more questions. Yes, over here to the right. We'll do the girl in the blue shirt. Yes.
Why Carnival?
Why not? It's cool, it's sexy, it's dark. I mean, to me, Terrence and I, when we first started the idea, we kind of based it on dark rides. Like, if you go to Disneyland or Disney World, the rides like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, or Winnie the Pooh, seriously, or Peter Pan, those rides that were or even the Haunted Mansion, and the fact that you put in this kind of weird car and you're forced to look at 2D flats, they're painted to look 3D. And I think there's something cool about that. And those that have been to carnivals, or old school carnivals, you know, a lot of them have that. And I think that whole idea spawned itself from rides, those kind of old carny-like rides. And even now, if you go to those old, haunted houses in carnivals, you know, with the Hall of Mirrors, that kind of stuff, with the 2D flats painted, I think it started from there. Terrence, do you have anything? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the moment.
I was just asking Erin, since she hasn't had a chance to chime in yet, if she likes seeing her name up on the big screen.
Do it! Yeah!
Talking to the microphone. That's right. Yeah, it was great.
Did you guys like seeing her name on the big screen?
I mean, seriously, I'm sure there are, again, filmmakers in the audience to talk about the editing of this thing, because we did it under an insane schedule.
Yeah, I got a few hard drives from Darren, FedExed to here to Toronto, because that's where I live, and just started working around the clock, because he pretty much said, okay, here's like 100 hours of footage, can you cut it in a week and a half? Yeah, basically, what should have taken me 2 months. But you know, as soon as I saw like the first frame, which was actually Tamara when she is chasing the scorpion right before the scorpion song, and I saw how amazing it looked, I was just like, this is going to be something like amazing. And it was, I've never cut a musical before, but Darren is brilliant at directing, and the music and the script was so well written that everything just came together so well. And then going down to LA was exciting. And I lived in behind Darren's pool for and looked after Chance for a while.
And my cat.
And your cat Zoe.
The real reason I brought him down was we just like our cat very much, and so we just said, come down and watch the cat. So that's basically it. Let's do 2 more questions, and we're gonna call it night. Okay. Yes, right here to the right.
When will we be seeing it on DVD? Yes.
It's a hard question to answer. We were talking about it before with some of the ringmasters. The reality is this: is that we really can't think past tonight. This whole thing came together. So, an example. I had a movie I filmed a few years ago called Mother's Day, and something I'm very proud of to this day. I'm we actually had some of the crew members on Mother's Day in the audience tonight as well. I'm very proud of the movie. It's probably one of my favorite films that I've done. We shot that in 2009, and it's still not out yet. 3 years passed, and it's just now being released in America next week. And you know, that's crazy, and it kills as an artist. You just die inside because you make something you want the world to see, and you have to sit back and wait years and years and years for it to finally come out. We finally decided we were going to make this movie on January 1st, and we're here now on April and May. And it happened that quickly that we said, fuck it, let's just do it ourselves. And my point being is the fact that the reason we made this movie was for us, because we knew that the Repo fans made Repo what it is, and that, you know, we had this movie we made that was basically dumped into obscurity. It was in a handful of screens, not even a handful of screens. And it was because the fans picked the movie up that it became what it is now. I found out this theater shadowcast it every couple of months. And all over the world that happens. And so we said, let's do something. Let's not ask permission. Let's not go to try to have someone else do it. Let's you and I go do it with our friends. And so we called up Spooky Dan, and we called up some of our friends and said, we want to make this, you know, new musical. Will you help us? We got all of our friends to go do it, and it happened so quickly. We didn't even hit the ground running. It was like we hit the ground in a marathon, trying to get the thing done, and we finally finished it, and immediately when we finished it, it was kind of ridiculous. We said, put tickets on sale. Let's just force ourselves to get on the road. Put tickets on sale immediately. And so we picked, you know, 35, 40 markets, and tickets were on sale, and we're like, how the fuck are we going to do this? And we had no idea how the hell we were going to get from Los Angeles to Toronto in a van. with 6 people, let alone how are we going to get the merch made? How are we going to do whatever? And so right now, we're still in that mad marathon session running, trying to figure out how we're going to make it to the next city. And that being said, is that there's no one thinking ahead. There's no studio or there's no production company that's thinking, okay, the DVD comes out this day, it's going to be on VOD this day. It's literally 7 people in a van that's running this entire corporation right now. And so literally all I'm thinking about is where am I going to get drinks after this ends tonight. That's as far as I thought. But the answer is yes, it will be on DVD at some point. Let us finish the road tour next week, and then we'll focus on to how we're going to get the DVD out.
Okay, go to the Horseshoe Tavern.
We might have been at the Horseshoe Tavern when you guys were watching the movie. I'm just saying. Very, very back right there. Yes. Yes. No, I wasn't talking. You sit down. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
Can you like sing like
That's up to him. I ain't answering that.
Yeah.
That's 2 requests.
You know, I was gonna do something like in this vein, but I'm gonna fuck you up and just do like a romantic ballad. I'm sure you guys have this experience, like when you're listening to something and it comes on a repeat of 1. This Tom Waits song has been going through my head recently. If I can remember the lyrics. If you don't want these arms to hold you, if you don't want these lips to kiss you, if you've gone and found someone new, then throw me back in the crowd. Throw me back in the crowd. Throw me back in the crowd.
We're going to end it with one last question. So who's got a good question? Okay, you that's freaking out in the back right now. Let's go. Go ahead. I'm surprised it took this long to get to that question. Is there going to be a Repo sequel? Here's the reality. First off, did you guys like the Repo documentary? Put together by Laura, my beautiful wife, and Spooky Dan. So guys, good job. Here's the reality. We don't own Repo anymore, and we have, here's the equivalent of asking the question, is there going to be a Repo sequel? We had a car in high school, and we sold it to get to college. Now I'm in the workforce 10 years later, like, can I go wreck and redrive that car? It's not mine. It stopped being ours long ago. Now, we fought, and we cried, and we groveled, and we pleaded to do things with Repo. And we were able to do the Repo Road Tour, and we were able to do other kind of like screenings of Repo. But the reality is, you know, I don't know how many times I've asked for a Repo director's cut, or to fix the subtitles on the disc, or little things like that. And you know, at one point years ago, we had ideas for prequels and sequels, and I'm sure that I asked if I were to go back to the crew that's here right now and say, hey, we're going to come back, we're doing a Repo sequel. I'm pretty sure we can assemble 95% of the Repo crew.
I like that they're all looking down.
I know. But it's not ours anymore. And that's why Terrence and I made Devil's Carnivals. We were sick and tired of sitting there asking for permission, asking to do things. And we finally said, you know what, screw it, let's just do it ourselves, and let's not have to ask anyone ever again. And so, with Devil's Carnival, it's ours. We own it. It's Terrence and mine. And we can show it here if we want to, or we can say we're not going to show it here, we're going to show it somewhere in Winnipeg. Or we can say we're going to make a sequel tomorrow. Or we can make a prequel tomorrow. It's ours. And I think that was kind of our response to the Repo sequel. Listen, I love Repo. It's my favorite film that I've been a part of. But it's someone else's now. And so that's not to say there'll never be one. I mean, listen, if you guys make enough noise on this thing and Lionsgate sees it, they might come back to us. But at this point right now, we're going to focus on things we can control. We can control this. So that's where we're putting our energy right now. guys, I'm going to end it by saying this right now. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for coming out tonight. And I ask you two favors before you leave here. Favor number one is that we don't have a PR company. We seriously have you guys. The same people that made Repo what it is. We're asking you to help us with this right now and to talk about this movie when you leave. If you hated the movie, then talk about how bad it was. Bash her editing, bash Terrence's singing, and say I'm a douchebag as a director. I don't care. But what I don't want is silence, because silence, the whole reason that it's taken this long for there to be anything Repo related is they still think there isn't an audience for that type of movie. And when we originally talked about doing this, we did go to people, and they're like, there's not an audience for that. And because of that, movies like this don't get made. So we want to prove that there is an audience for these type of films, that the disenfranchised, the freaks, the weirdos, and all that fuck them, so I asked you to talk about it. Secondly, the whole way we're able to do this tonight, we're able to come out and do this is through the soundtracks and through the merchandise that we're selling. The merchandise is funding this tour right now. It's allowing us to do all of this. So hopefully you guys like what you saw, and we encourage you to please hit the merch table, because that's helping us be able to do this and make part two. So guys, I'm going to turn you back over to Stephanie. Thank you guys so much.